right, so we have a great group here. It's a really interesting selection of films and all. What I'd like to do first is just kind of go down the line here, and I was wondering each of you could talk a little bit about the origin of your project, where the project originally came from, how you originally came up with the concept.
Is this on? Oh, yeah.
It's the Academy, better be on. That's right.
Well, for David and I's film, it occurred to us that animals have similar issues as people, as humans, but they don't get judged for it. They're just allowed to be the way they are, and so you get a little bit jealous, I suppose. But we wondered, what if they were, if they're in today's society as sophisticated animals and they had to adapt. And we thought a group therapy session was the best place to show that.
And we also wanted to deal with the question of whether people or animals should change their behavior to fit in better, or whether people should, or others should accept them for who they are. So that was the kind of dynamic that we were playing with there.
Great.
And we wanted to make fun of group therapy.
It worked. So, okay.
So for Bao, it was loosely inspired by my own life growing up. I feel like ever since I was little, my mom has treated me like her precious little dumpling. I'm an only child, so she was very overprotective of me, very, very much like a part of my life, even now. And I just wanted to explore that relationship between an overprotective parent and and a kid. And I've always loved really dark fairy tales as well, like the Little Gingerbread Man. And I kind of wanted to do a Chinese Bao version of that. And then that twist ending was definitely inspired by, again, my mom. Like, she would still, even now, hold me close and be like, "Oh, Domi, I wish I could put you back in my stomach so I knew exactly where you were at all times." I'm like, "Oh, Mom, that's sweet, but creepy." So that was, not going to happen. That's the inspiration behind Bao.
And I'm the lucky producer that got to help tell Domi's story and put the crew together.
And you made a Bao.
And I made a Bao during the making of Baos.
It was really great
that
research.
I want to put back in my stomach.
Basically the idea for me came initially from sort of a desire to explore sort of a woman's inner life on screen. And it's sort of an abstract idea and just explore it on screen. And then also, especially when I started really getting into the film and getting into the script even, I think my own grandmothers were kind of inspiration for the main character in terms of about trying to remember what their lives were like before they were just my grandmothers. Before that, I only knew them as in that, from that point of view. So I really wanted to kind of think about what their lives were like before that and see them more as whole people rather than just this one aspect of their lives. So that's kind of where it came from for me.
Yeah, and I'm the producer of Late Afternoon, so when Luis talked to me about the film, what I really, really liked, well, I liked Luis's work before then, but I loved the sensitivity of the film and how touching such a sad illness as dementia, there was this positive but not unrealistic feeling about it. So we will be looking at also happy memories and seeing how people that are living with the illness are not necessarily always sad or confused. They also are happy sometimes. And even if it's really hard for the family when they leave these confusing moments, it's really comforting for them that they're supportive. And again, like we wanted to treat it with a lot of respect, but it's very precious for the family when these moments at the end of the film happened, when they connect, and they know they're very precious because they only last for, maybe a few moments. So we wanted to embrace that.
Bobby and I were both lucky at a young age to know what we wanted to do with our lives. We both wanted to be animators, and we were also both lucky enough to have family members who supported us. In my case, I had a grandfather who recognized in me at a young age, from 5 years old, that I would probably grow up to be a Disney animator, and I did, but he passed away when I was 10. And when I got into Disney at 27, my mom told me the story of what he said to her, and that resonated with me. And that feeling of knowing what I wanted to do and then seeing it through and then finding out who was there to support me and how much that meant to me at a young age, we wanted to put that into the film.
Yeah, all of us kind of felt that way into the story at Tycho of just kind of like chasing after a dream. And while that is like something that we all went through, and it was we worked hard to get there, but we also wanted to shine a light on everyone that supported us along the way. So for me, it was my mother, and it's not a common thing, but she encouraged me to get into art school. She signed me up for art school, and she was my biggest cheerleader into that, and I don't take that for granted. So for us, for One Small Step was just kind of chasing after that big dream and shining a light on those to support you along the way. So, yeah.
Hi. Yeah, for me, my film actually started as a drawing I did back in 2007, so over 10 years ago, trying to get a job at animation studios. And it was the kid walking from his mom's home to his dad's car. And I share artwork with friends, and this generated the most kind of response and conversation. People would share stories about their divorced parents and kind of realize how common that is in society. And also realize it's not really talked about in animated film much. So I really wanted to capture the childhood perspective of divorce in animation and just deal with like kind of surreal imagery. And that was kind of the basis for Weekends.
Great. Cool. All of you here have had a certain amount of experience beyond the making of your one short film. A number of you have had experience in long film, working in long projects as well as short projects. I just want to talk about the concept of shorts for a little while. Like, what do you personally enjoy about the short film format, or what brings you back to the short film format? And let's start with Trev and go this way.
Well,
put you on the spot. I know. Yeah. I'm sorry.
For one, I mean, as an individual, you can kind of find your own voice and perspective, and it's not the size of a feature, which takes hundreds of people to make. So it's actually manageable in some ways. And I think I love shorts personally because you get these like really potent perspectives that are all done uniquely. So I just think they're really fascinating and amazing and overlooked, honestly. So
yeah, I'll build off that, like the intimacy of just kind of like putting your own voice out there, your personal voice out there, and just kind of saying, hey, does anyone else feel this way? And then hopefully you can pair with somebody who says, I feel that way too, and then we can make a film together, we can make art together. But I think that's what we did, on One Small Step, right? We all found our way into this story, I think.
I think with shorts specifically, you can try things that people might be more skeptical of when there's $180 million on the line. But yeah, I mean, I would echo the thoughts shared by these two. And you can be very iconic and efficient with your choices and make a bold decision to not have any dialogue, which I think 3 of the 5 films, no dialogue. That's a lot of fun to play with, and you get to really embrace the strengths of imagery and brevity.
That's exactly it again, piling up on the freedom of expression, of doing something a little bit more risky and not, sometimes when most of the time when you're going to work on a feature, there's a lot of voices and there's a lot of things that you need to, you're more constraints and you have a lot more freedom on a short and you can experiment a bit more.
Yeah, I'm going to also say that some ideas they are shorts. That's the best format for those ideas. And it's nice to be able to just commit to that as an idea. And then also I'm going to say that as much freedom as you get with shorts, you also get serious limitations. Limitations of time, money, energy, of people, and passion. And I think in a way those limitations can make a project almost better because you have to be very clever about what choices you make. You really have to commit to what the film's about. And it makes you sort of kind of really focus in on what the short is. You don't have much time to get it across. So yeah, that's why I like shorts a lot.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a lot of risk taking and creatively, which I'm sure Domi will talk about more. But I feel like as a producer, what was exciting about working on this short, producing this short, is risk taking with our crew. So it was the first time a lot of us held these particular leadership roles, and I'm really happy to share that many women were in leadership roles on our short. So not only is it our first time, but Domi's the first female shorts director at Pixar. It's the first time I produced. Yeah. And yeah, we had our production designer. It was the first time she had done that job, and our production manager, a lot of first time. Our supervising technical director is typically a DP, and he wanted to try the technology side some more. And yeah, so being able to have this. Be able to take risks to try on these like big people's shoes on this shorter format was super exciting and encouraging for me and us.
Yeah, I echo what everyone says. It's just so awesome to be able to experiment with different types of stories, different types of styles in shorts. But for me, I just loved working with a small crew. Like it felt like we were on a pirate ship. Like even though I worked at Pixar and it's such a huge studio, like working on a short, you still get to be scrappy and you have to be like creative and inventive, and there's not going to be a ton of resources available to you, and that's what I love about it. Like you kind of have to push yourself to think outside the box and wear different hats and take on different roles. Like that was my favorite part about directing a short. So.
Well, for me, I grew up in Canada thinking that short films was what I always wanted to do. I was influenced by the work of the National Film Board of Canada. I'm so proud to be able to make films with the NFB now. And so Allison and I hadn't actually made a short for like 25 years. So coming back to that now is a really gratifying thing. And to have the film here amongst these is such an honor.
I would agree with all these great points, except just to add, I think what we enjoy in a short film, as opposed to long form, is we can do most of the creative work ourselves. And so you really hone it to exactly what you want to do, which sometimes you have to. It's nice working with other people and collaborating, but it is also nice to make it very personal.
That's true. I got to ask you a quick question for all the Canadians here, and that is that in 2 films or 3 films I saw this. Is that the CN Tower?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. There's not another tower in Vancouver I don't know about. So okay, I haven't been there in a while, so I don't.
Now I regret not putting this in.
I know. So an interesting point when you think about, all of you, your films are very personal, and films have a very individual style. But you're all working with crews too. Like all of you, have about a dozen more people working on your team. How do you like? How do you like working as basically as a supervisor, as running a team? What is the challenges? When I was a director, I remember I was originally an animator, and one of my mentors was an old Disney animator named Seamus Culhane. And Seamus told me, he says, directing has nothing to do with your ability to draw. It's your ability to motivate people with your personality. So what did you find as a challenge, whatever, directing other people? So.
I think in our case, we had a crew, but mostly for paint and trace. Mm-hmm. And we had a couple of people do a small part of our animation. So the majority of it was by ourselves. So we were just trying to match everything to what we were doing. So it wasn't too difficult in this case.
Yeah. We had the privilege with the way that we work with the NFB is it's very creator driven, and we don't get notes from anybody. No one says, can you make some changes like this? That they want to support our vision. And one of the reasons why we wanted to make a short film after doing TV series was because we wanted to have the pen in our hand and be actually acting the characters and making them do exactly what we wanted to do. And so that was very gratifying. And last time we did it, it was cell paint and cells, which was just horrific. So now digital was a revelation, but it still took longer actually than cells. I don't get that.
Yeah, for me, the biggest challenge in making this short was just and stepping up into this leadership position is not being able to rely on my, I guess, superpower, which is drawing. So I am a storyboard artist originally, and I feel like ever since I was little, that's how I was able to communicate with people, was through drawings. But as a director, you're kind of tasked with being able to communicate in a very succinct, way to like a large group of people with words and not so much with drawings. And that was for me like the most challenging thing. But it was just, I learned so much from the role. I learned to just rely and trust my team and the leadership, and also just to like open up and bring the crew into the world of Bao. We went on several field trips to, San Francisco and Oakland, Chinatown. We did lots of research at Chinese restaurants.
Or like several hundreds of dumplings were harmed in the making of
Yes,
Bao.
many. But yeah, it's just that was really awesome. Just being able to share the singular vision with like a whole crew of people was very challenging, but really gratifying at the same time.
I just want to jump in, but I remember one, like being in story sessions where people are throwing around ideas, and there's always one person going, I think we should do a human sacrifice here. No, I don't see that at all. No, and then like a few weeks later, pitching another section. We really should try a human sacrifice. Like, no. So sometimes it's like you want to take everybody's input, but you still want it to be your film, to keep it in. So
Yeah.
I'll let it keep going. So.
Oh yeah, I started at Pixar actually as a PA, production assistant, on a short film. It was one man band, and so I think for me, I've done many different positions at Pixar, from PA to artist to production coordinator and manager, and I think what I try to do is put myself in everyone's shoes when I'm asking something of them, and just try to lead with as much compassion as I can. And like Domi said, we really just tried to. People brought so much heart and love to this. They loved being a part of this crew, and so we wanted just to encourage them to put their ideas out there too. There are a lot of little things that didn't come from us, came from somebody's idea to. There's a little mother and baby turtle sculpture that's in the mother's bedroom that one of our artists, he had a sculpture like that from his mom, and so he wanted to draw something like that and put it in. And there's a lot of things like that, down to like the costume design, and so much care and thought, and we just wanted to provide a space for people to be able to bring that to it.
And work through their mom issues.
And maybe that.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of the joy of working with the team on the film was actually being able to work with people and know that they were going to bring something that I hadn't yet thought of to the project, or they were going to bring more to something that I wanted to. So me as a director, I'm not telling them specifically I want this color and this thing and this thing. I'm saying this is what I want out of this scene. This is the emotional point of this scene. This is where I wanted to go. Like, what do you think you would do? And so it was like being able to actually bring that out of people was really enjoyable. And then also being able to cast people. So like being able to cast my animators for their scenes, knowing where their strengths were and seeing that, and then rewarding them with the scenes they knew they really wanted to do. And like that was really, it was really great to see the artists grow in the production and develop as artists, and kind of like bring it all together within the film as well. So that was really enjoyable. Love that part.
But as a producer, just stuff them with cakes and sugar as much as possible.
The basic food group.
We brought fruits once and it didn't work as well.
Bring back the cakes.
And for me, I think the biggest challenge, I many times have said as a producer, you are an audience. First audience, you are a professional beggar. So you're all the time asking for things, especially in shorts where you don't have enough resources. You learned really well to, move your eyelashes and blink and really really well. Totally. And also, I think one of the biggest challenges was that sometimes I have Louise is a great director, and for good and bad, she has a big production mind too. So she worries, which is lovely. She worries about do we have enough money? Oh, this is going to be very expensive. Oh, there's not enough time for this. And I just have to say, relax. Just don't worry about it. I like, don't worry about it. And then I go behind the curtains. I'm like, oh, sugar. Like, that's like the sweats, you know. But the thing is, like, I'm there, and I want as well to make the best film. And I'm actually the worst bet, because when they said, no, that's gonna be too expensive, like, no, that's great. Let's try to make this. Like, and then I'll think about it. But yeah, it was. And also you're a big cheerleader as well as a producer, and I think you have to always know what the vision of the director is and what everybody is putting on the table, and kind of really always trying to get to where you wanted to go from the beginning, and when you go to the side too much, helping everyone to keep going and not losing their minds in the process.
We had a lot of practical challenges because we're a startup company, and our producer, Xiaofu Zhang, was a Disney animator with Bobby and myself for several years, and he founded our company with a footprint in Wuhan, China, as well as Burbank. So most of our crew speaks Mandarin. Bobby and I are both American and only speak English. And our producer, Xiaofu, who's a great director in his own right, speaks both, and he would travel back and forth and set up a space for both sides of the crew. And Bobby and I went in very humble, just trying to be receptive to all the things that we didn't know, and creating a compassionate space and trying to earn the trust of people who don't speak the same language as we do, but have to believe that we're guiding the story and the film in a right direction, and creating a story that they can all relate to, so that it feels connected to all of us.
Yeah, I think for the most part, like Andrew and I, when we became directors, it was not about the work that we created ourselves. It was about mentoring everyone else on our crew. And for me, that was the biggest thing, was like seeing them grow and just seeing them create great work. And it wasn't about the work that we created anymore. It was just about the work that they created, like every day, of seeing the Wuhan, China crew. And we were so proud of them every time they, we gave notes and they rose above all our expectations. So I think like the biggest thing for me that I discovered as a director is you sort of lose that ego. And it's not about the work that you create, it's about the work that your team creates, and you want to shepherd that, and you want to mentor them, and you want them to create their best work. And I think that was a humbling experience for me. So.
Yeah, for me it was this extremely personal project that has a lot of elements from my own childhood in it, and I had worked on it for a really long time, and I always thought I was going to do it by myself. But that was pretty foolish. I was lucky enough to meet the production designer on it. Was named Chris Sasaki, and he was the first person to collaborate with me and kind of help me with some artwork. And that just really evolved and grew and kind of opened me up to work with more people. And I never would have been able to finish this by myself. So I think just learning to trust people, sharing sentiment, a lot of people are saying, but yeah, I think people are really great. And I think the experience working on this is really beautiful and reaffirming for me.
I want to thank you all for coming here. Let's have a great hand for our filmmakers.